If anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. He built me strong, able to endure the hardest situations. Through perseverance, I will not stop. I cannot be stopped. He built me ready, with the mind of ambition. I will not fail. No thought, no injury, no obstacle, no person can stand in my way. The Bible says if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. Although I am well fed, I stay hungry.
My name is Terry Tertiary. I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Not now, right now.
A brief background about my music history would be I started performing when I was 10 years old, and I initially started with rapping, and then I moved into singing and instrumentation and audio engineering and all that as well.
I love it that I did what I did when I did what I did when I did it with her. If you want it, go and...
Well, from an early age, I really understood that music really drove me and pushed me to do certain things. The first time I ever took it seriously was when I was 10, and I decided to do a talent show. And while practicing, I start feeling, I guess, the energy that most people feel when they do anything artistic and how it relates to their life. I always loved writing before I even got into music at all. I just loved the whole process, the re-editing and everything. So when I had finally started writing my own verses, and the first time I performed, it just became so apparent that I needed to be doing that for the rest of my life. I always had to work. Every day of my life. If I wasn't honing my skills or practicing talents, performing in front of people, I was working to raise money to go to the studio, riding the bus for an hour, getting off, walking 30 minutes to go to the studio, dealing with at-home drama on top of all that, trying to persevere through all this, keeping myself motivated. Really, I just wanted to make sure I stayed true to myself throughout all that. So the process of growing up really helped me shave off the fat of what really didn't need to be there in my music. I took the tertiary aspect from the term tertiary deviance, which derives from sociology, and it really just means taking a person's deviant status and trying to portray a non-deviant status over top of that. Someone who's African American, who rocks an afro, because to the larger society, afros are like it looks unkept, and it kind of brings like a pro-black activist type of like lifestyle behind it. And some people, it discourages them away from that. But for people who are African American, afro is a symbolism of power and pride and respect for your culture. I definitely talk about different social issues, whether it be something regarding race or something regarding gender. And I just want people to understand across cultures how to speak to people and how the cultures interact with one another and how we're looked at large as a society to the world outside of us. I've seen a lot of people really come up to me after seeing me perform or hearing my music and contact me and say, I love this line, or I love that you said this about that. Like, no one talks about these kind of concepts, mainstream or independent, which really makes me feel like I am making a change in society because people have something to walk away from my music with. My Uncle Freddie always told me, when I was in school anyway, this was the best advice I got at that time. He said, just make sure you get an education. He was in the army and stuff, and he didn't go to higher education or anything, but he understood the importance of it, and he understood that he didn't have the opportunity or means to do so. And he knew that me attending college would make a difference, not only for me, for our family, because us continuing going to college makes all the difference in the world, because once you learn about the world, you can actually make a difference.
The slow grind's a steady pace. Don't think it comes so easy.
Instant gratification.
I'm Sydney Stewart. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I am a hairstylist, makeup artist, and a dancer. I started dance when I was 5 years old. I basically did that all of my life. My stepmother, she was a dance major. She's danced all of her life. And when I was about 4 years old, she had a class for preschool kids. Since then, that's all I've done, all I've ever wanted to do. And that was my focus growing up. I remember being on stage really young, and they said I always used to look down. They say, "You're so gifted, why do you look down all the time?" And really, other people would tell me, how gifted I was, but I didn't believe it, or I didn't want to accept it because I didn't want to stand out. And part of me, I think getting over that too, was in class. My stepmom would be like, pick your head up. Ain't nothing on the ground, you ain't drop nothing, just being disciplined, look out. And so that, having somebody constantly in my ear and pushing me, that's how I was able to get over that. I went to Ohio University and I transferred into Aveda. When I was about to graduate high school, it was always kind of said you're gonna be a dance major. You've been doing all your life, that's what you're gonna do. And I kind of just didn't really, I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do that. And so I went into it. My freshman year, I really didn't like it. Sophomore year, the fact that I didn't like it was really emphasized. It was just because up until that point, I never had a time in my life where I hated dancing. It was like this love relationship, and it wasn't making me happy, and I couldn't figure out why. And I remember the first couple months being back home, I was kind of sad too, because it was just like, did I make the right decision? You know what I mean? And I was just like, well, I don't know how this is gonna work out. I guess we're gonna see. There ain't no turning back now. I don't regret it at all. I feel like being out of Aveda has made me a better person. I feel like I've grown a lot. I feel like I've learned lessons that I wouldn't have learned if I had still been in that environment at OU. I needed to be around other women who were encouraging and going through stuff too, and we could encourage each other. You know what I mean? You don't always need somebody to be mad with you. Sometimes you need somebody to pray for you and tell you what the word says. You know what I mean? And that you're gonna make it through. And so I got that there. I just graduated, and I'm now in the salon, Girl and Guy Republic Salon and Art Space. And now I'm currently in the manager's program, finishing up my manager's license. My ultimate goal, I want to have a base here in Columbus, but I also want to, I want to be able to travel and work on who I want to work on, have a good time, make, new experiences. My dad just told me just to do your best. Whatever you're doing, maximize what you occupy. And do it the best that you can do it while you're then and there. And then move on to the next thing. I think it's so important for women to be empowered and to empower each other. And I think that is something that, there's a lack of that nowadays, I feel like, in young women. And I know what it's like to not feel the best and to have low self-esteem, and then to overcome that. And I want to be able to pass that on to somebody else and show that you don't really have to hate on the next chick. You don't have to try and one-up somebody. Everybody can win to some degree or another. You know what I mean? If you want to. And I feel like it's important that women understand that. You need that.
According to an assessment, my mind is an empty aquarium. Name is Cortez Harris. I'm from Springfield, Ohio. I am a poet, spoken word artist, a speaker, activist, and a father. Insults leak from the holes in the ceiling. IEP is it's a document that basically lays out your challenges. If that is with writing, if that's with reading, if that's any emotional disturbance. And it's a document to pretty much guide teachers on how they can meet your unique way of learning. It followed me all the way through college. And for me, I had an IEP in poor reading comprehension and poor writing expression. And with that IEP, I was in non-standardized classrooms. So classrooms, maybe a number of 4 or 5 students. Never experienced a traditional classroom setting in elementary, middle school, and part of high school is when I was on mainstream, going into my junior year, into traditional classroom settings. Kids in the classroom right directly in front of me have 20 students. And you know, kids, they like to tease and they like to taunt, and they will walk by and they will point fingers, they'll make jokes. And my only escape was lunch, because I mean, everybody takes lunch together, right? They don't segregate you when you take lunch. And fire drills and tornado warnings and those particular moments for me was a sense of escape, because everybody comes together. You know, you're not really, you're segregated by classroom, but still you're very compact and you're together, so you can kind of like camouflage with another classroom, and that's what I would do. The nails on my desk loosened, it falls apart. I entangled the embarrassment in my fist. I pick up all of my broken pencils. I carry them with me. I didn't believe in myself going up to those stages, but I was so determined to believe in myself. I knew that I had to keep on performing, even if that meant drop poems each and every Tuesday when I go to writing rooms, you know. And at some point, I think once I started to develop my confidence, I started to remember poems, and then I became more confident. And then I find myself having opportunities I never thought were feasible, you know, being able to travel the country, being able to be on poetry teams, and run a poetic organization at Ohio State. Nothing But Skin. It's my very first full-length book deal, and the book is a series of poems about the state of young black males. I'm counteracting the often negative portrayals of what it means to be black. Also, my goal behind the book is to really try to give a positive perspective on what it means to be black. I do that by telling narratives from young black males' point of view, and just exploring that state, exploring their mind, exploring their environment, but also incorporate my personal life. I mean, I'm a young black male with an IEP, you know, and that's defying the odds. So encouraging young black males like myself that you can defy the odds, no matter how many odds are stacked up against you. The light bulb shatters. Red eyes come peeling through the darkness. The insects of my insecurities come crawling out of my pockets, up my arms, across my shoulders, around my neck. My imperfect brain, my single file line looks like a snake. Everyone is staring with nets in their eyes.
My name is Jasmine Smith. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I graduated from The Ohio State University in 2012. I studied speech and hearing science, and I also minored in disability studies. I love working with children. I always have. I've been teaching for years, and I just began my path working with students with disabilities, and I really enjoy it. I love to infuse the things that I love into my lesson planning and programming and activities that I do with all of my little ones from pre-K all the way up to middle school. So as much as I love art, I love when I can give that to my students. So it's really important to me. As far as my art, I feel like I've used it and will continue to use it as a way to positively like shed light on what I am. You know, I'm a black woman, I'm a female. I kind of use it as like a pedestal to put what I feel is important a little higher than society holds it. So for me, when I'm painting a black woman on canvas, I miss these bright, vibrant colors. It's like love, you know. Not every black girl is told love yourself. Love yourself as you are, where you are, with what you know, and that's fine. And so I feel like for me, that's why I paint. And I wasn't always told that, so it's nice to kind of tell myself through my art. I would have never found out that I could paint or love to paint if I didn't just try. Because in my mind, I was never going to be a painter. So it took a little motivation from a friend, but in the end, it was me deciding, well, why not? So don't short yourself just because you haven't yet. You know, you haven't tried to write. Oh, you're not good with words, but you don't know. If there's some dream that you have and it seems far-fetched, I think that is what stifles our generation, our culture. We're just told no so often. So I want to use my gifts and my passion so I can tell somebody yes. Go full out. Because that's the only way you'll know that you gave everything you tried. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Keep going. Just try.
My name is James Drakeford. I'm 25 years old. I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. I went to Dayton Christian High School. Graduated in 07, went to The Ohio State University. I graduated from Ohio State in 2011. Since then, I've been working at Soul Classics. Started off as a basic sales associate and pretty much worked my way up to store manager right now and also buyer. In addition to working at Soul Classics, I do a lot of freelance photography. You know, I'm responsible for all the photography at Soul Classics, anywhere from the Instagram to promo pictures to Soul Classics lookbook to web photos. But I also like to do a lot of freelance photography outside whenever I have time. Last year I did a project called Black Innocence, which was a photojournalism project that kind of painted a different picture of African American youth. You know, normally when you think of black, you think of something negative. We're used to seeing ourselves in negative images or being exploited in some type of way. I wanted to basically just do the opposite. I wanted to put images in your face of innocence or, you know, joy, happiness, anything that's positive. I also have a social movement called TIOBS, which stands for the idea of being somebody. That's kind of like a self-actualization movement. It's all about figuring out who you are as a person, and basically I think the idea of being somebody is, you know, the idea of being yourself and figuring out who you are and what you can bring to the table. I was always a fan of shoes and fashion and style since I was young, so I've always worked in shoe stores, worked in Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs before I came to Soul Classics. And you know, in college, you know, I thought about majors and what I would enjoy doing. I love education. I love working with youth. I love sharing things that I know or sharing things that I've learned that can somehow help somebody else or inspire somebody else to do whatever they want to do. Working at Soul Classics, it gives me a platform to still educate people in basically any fashion that I would like. You know, whether we're talking about shoes or clothing, you know, I can use that tool to kind of talk about other things. Like It Do It was kind of like a idea / concept that I came up with in 2011. It's very simple. The idea is if you are interested in something or you like something and you have the means to do it, you know, why aren't you doing it? You know, I feel like we get the most joy in life out of things that we enjoy doing or things that make us happy. So if there's something that you enjoy doing, you should do it. And I know a lot of times we get caught up into the daily activities or daily routines. So I feel like, you know, Like It Do It is just kind of getting back to the roots of childhood and doing more of what you enjoy. It wasn't until I was at Ohio State when I kind of just took a step back and really looked at how I was living and decided, like, you know, like my life is basic. Like, this is boring. I'm tired of just doing the same things over and over again. I'm interested in other things. You know, why don't I try something new? So I try to look at myself and make sure that I'm doing what I want to do, and making sure that I'm not selling myself short and, you know, allowing myself to be boxed in. Like, still, I don't like to be titled necessarily a photographer, even though I take a lot of photos. You know, I take probably 100+ photos almost every day, but it's like, when people give you a label, you know, they try to take away from other things that you might be interested in. So I don't like to put titles on myself. You know, I like to just stay me and do all that I can do, you know, outside of titles, you know, because I feel like I am and anybody is, you know, we're more than a title. You know, we're many things combined. I would say the best advice was probably from my grandfather. Every time we saw him, he would always say, keep your eyes on the prize. And, you know, it sounds like a basic saying, but when you really think about it, a lot of times when we fail, it's because we didn't keep our eyes on the prize. You know, we went astray from what we were initially going after, or weren't as focused as we needed to be to do the things that we wanted to do.
One time at band camp. Sending a special.
My name is DJ Bandcamp, originally from Youngstown, Ohio. Official DJ for the Indiana Pacers, official DJ for Stally of Maybach Music, official DJ for BET 106 & Park. Growing up in Youngstown is different. I think our population is only 50,000 people. I grew up on the east side, Lincoln Knowles. It was a tough neighborhood, you know. Ended up moving out of there, a nicer part a little bit, like on the north side of Youngstown, but still in the hood, you know how it is. But it was cool, man. Youngstown taught me a whole lot about who I am, you know, taught me how to be a strong person, taught me about perseverance and just never giving up on anything, you know, no matter what, you know, no matter what your circumstances are, you can make it out. My grandmother was a pastor of a church, and I grew up playing drums there. So, like, since I can remember, I was, like, beating on drums. So that kind of just influenced me heavily, you know, being in church and playing in drums. And then I also played in my high school marching band. So I went to the University of Cincinnati. I was also in the UC marching band. Originally went to school to be a pharmacist. When I graduated school, I was offered an opportunity to work for a pharmaceutical company called Humana. So I started working, and then at the same time that I started working, I started DJing. And DJing was just a hobby. Like, I just loved music, and I always got the new music, and I had an iPod, and I had it in my car, and I was just always playing new music. So I started teaching, and teaching for me made sense because I didn't have to work any weekends. I got Christmas break, summer break, all those holidays off, which were all key DJing times, so it made sense. At first, like I said, I didn't go to school to be a teacher, so I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, but then I started loving it. And I was loving the relationships I was building with the kids, being able to impact the youth that way, like, and you can see the direct result in front of you is like totally different. As I continue in my career, DJing also I was doing on the side, I ended up meeting Stally. A long story short, he asked me to become his official DJ, but I was still working. So I asked if I could just finish out, you know, this last year, and then at the end of the year, I'll come on board. And he was like, cool. When it came to the end of the year, it took me a while to really, for it to manifest that this is about to happen. And I remember the school was like blowing my line up, blowing my email up about coming in to sign my contract for the next year. And I'm just in my head like, yo, am I really about to leave everything that I know, all this education that I had to go do music, not making enough money for it to make sense yet? I prayed about it. I spoke with my family about it and just came to the decision that I'm gonna do it. Band camp meant something to me because I was in a marching band. And at first when I came with my name, people were like laughed about it because it was like they get it, but it was like corny. It's crazy now because now it's like a household name and it's like, it like means a little something. I made this mixtape called Welcome to Band Camp where I incorporated marching band music into like hip hop music. And that kind of really like sprung the Bandcamp brand to another level. Like people were like, okay, now we really get it. Like now we see what he's trying to do. I would be remiss if I didn't say I got to give a big ups to DJ Steph Floss. DJ Steph Floss was my biggest influencer, and he probably has no idea. When I was coming into the DJ game, Steph Floss was probably the biggest name in Ohio at the time. And he was DJing for the Cavs, he was DJing for the radio, he had like the hottest radio mix show. He was winning awards for it. He was DJing for LeBron, he was DJing for Nike, he was doing a whole lot. So I modeled my entire brand off of him. I just got mad respect for him. Mad respect to you, Floss. My first tour ever was with Kendrick Lamar and Stally and TDE. I kind of built a relationship with a few of the people from BET. It was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was the biggest show on the tour, maybe about 3,000 people or so. And they asked me if I would host it. And I'm like, yeah. The people were loving it. The crowd went crazy. The people from BET was liking it. And then from that point on, I hosted the rest of the tour. Someone told me before, nothing slows you down like being in a hurry. You know, you always feel like it needs to happen at your pace and at your time, not really realizing that God has a bigger plan for you. You know what I'm saying? So when you think so many people stop before they even reach the goal and they're right at the goal and don't even know it, I want people to know that I'm them. You know what I'm saying? I'm a kid from a small town, from a small city that overcame some things, like a lot of us, and I'm just chasing a dream.
My name is Jasmine Smith.
I'm a part of the Get Out Project.
I want you to get up,
Get out and do something.
Thanks. I still can't talk.
You need some water?
Oh no. Do I sound weird?
No, you sound
No, this is normal.
You just start.
Cause I could feel it. I be having allergies and stuff, you know. I do. This place is dusty. I can't breathe.
Wait a minute. This is just oh.
My name is Cortez, spoken word artist. Yes, it's me, close and personal. I'm getting up, get out, and do something. Yeah. What happened? You don't want to say that. I mess it up. Oh, I'm not the best, man. I'm the best at this, man. You said get up and get out?
Yeah, get out and do something. Say it right, but you can't get up. You can't get up and get out, though.
My name is Cortez Harris, poet from the... Oh, let me start all over. I'm about to say the Columbus, Ohio. Like, no, the Ohio.
Columbus. I had a good childhood. I am. My name is Sydney Stewart. I want you to get up, get out, and do something.
Look straight at
I did.
I got a minor in business, and I went to school to initially be a pharmacist. I'm sorry. Gotta say that over.
Hey, we gotta get the bloopers.
And then I feel like I'm just talking. I feel like I'm just.
Usually in an interview you can interact with it, but you don't wanna.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we wanna hear.
Okay. It's just like I'm just talking, and I don't know if y'all like bored. Shout out to the Get Out Project, man. I really like, what y'all got going on. The platform that y'all are giving us to try to reach the people and to show people that, we're from here, we got talent, and, we can make it out of here too. You know what I'm saying? If you just believe in what you want to do. So let's go.